Well, we learned in the previous lesson what the 3 economic questions are. Let me remind you what those are in case you forgot or you just didn't watch the lesson recently. It's what to produce, how to produce it, and who to distribute it to, or for whom to produce. You can put that in 2 ways, that third question. There are 4 basic answers to that. The first kind of economy that ever came along, I believe, would be something called the traditional economy. So, and that answers the question this way. The traditional economy answers those 4 questions this way. The king decides what to produce. The king decides how to produce it. And the king decides who to distribute it to. And sometimes it's a queen, and so we don't just say king, we say the monarch, because that means king or queen. So the monarch decides all economic questions. Pretty simple. And here's how it works out. Whatever your family did before you is probably what you're going to end up doing. Tradition is a big part of this. So like if your daddy was a blacksmith, you'll probably be the town blacksmith when you grow up. If your dad was the king, you'll probably grow up to be the king. If I don't know, if you're a farmer, if you're a peasant, if your grandfather was a peasant farmer, then his son would be a peasant farmer, and then that means you would be a peasant farmer, and your son and your descendants would all be peasant farmers as well. So the traditional economies, are they still around? Not really. In some places in the world, like in tiny little places way out in the wilderness, there's still some traditional economies, but basically there's no entire country that has a traditional economy for this. So there's no real good example here. You can go back to the Middle Ages, certainly, and like France would have been a traditional economy at one point, as well as the what is now known as the United Kingdom. England would have participated in that. So medieval European countries would have been traditional economies, but those are the best examples I can think of. Maybe you could research some more on your own. But we have to move on. And so the next economy that kind of pops up historically is something called the market economy. This is also called capitalism or the free market. Those terms all mean the same thing, and you need to get that in your head. The market economy, capitalism, and the free market are all the same thing. And what they mean is this. Consumers, the people who go out and buy the stuff from the producers, you guessed it, the people who make the stuff, they come to an agreement on their own based on this law that's out there that's not written down anywhere really, of supply and demand. Which means, if the consumer demands it, there will be a producer somewhere that produces it. So how are they deciding what to make? Here's how they're deciding what to make in a market economy. They're deciding what to make based upon what people demand. What people demand is what the producer will make. How will the producer make it? Well, they're going to make it cheap enough so that the consumer can actually buy it. And who gets the stuff in a market economy? Well, whoever's got the money to pay for it. Think about it. If you walk into Walmart, well, let's not use Walmart. Sorry I said that. I don't want to offend anybody that works for Walmart. Let's say you walk into a store that has no name, and you want to buy a pair of tennis shoes. And you lay the tennis shoes down on the table, and you say, I'd like this pair I'd like to buy this pair of tennis shoes. And the person says, okay, they're $35. And you say, well, I don't have $35. What happens? You don't get to have the tennis shoes. The person next to you, though, wants the tennis shoes. They do have the $35. Guess what? If they want the tennis shoes, they get to have the tennis shoes. Okay, so it's real simple. Here's how the economic questions are decided. Consumers and producers use the law of supply and demand to answer the economic questions. That's enough for today. We're going to learn the other two types of economies in the next video segment. Thank you.